a warm welcome to Matt Mattola.
So embarrassing, so embarrassing.
Oh my! Can you just thank the other presenters and alums?
Yeah, of course. I was hoping this picture would never ever be seen, ever again. And I got an email yesterday from Mrs. Blackstock of, hey, check this picture out. And I was like, oh, no, delete that right now. So first off, I just want to have a huge thank you for all the panelists, presenters prior. This is something I didn't have in high school, and I'm so jealous. So first, let's hear a round of applause for all of them. Perfect. So class of 2021, I am so honored and grateful to be here. You probably don't know this, but for the last 8 years of my life, I wake up and I say a small thank you to this place we're fortunate to call home. If you do know that, serious stalker problem, Mrs. Blackstock has the picture, I think she's a stalker as well. And I'll be honest, it's crazy to me that I'm able to speak in front of you all today for two major reasons, right? By the way, this is totally unexpected. Number one, I thought I'd have to be wearing a suit, right? Isn't it usually like you have the older guy in a suit who's done this crazy 30-year career and all this stuff? And number two, I thought I'd have to be old. Like, not older. I actually wear glasses when I am in business meetings and I have to look older. But I mean old, like no hair, white hair. And the picture I wanted Mr. Blackstock to show was to show that not too long ago, I too was a sophomore. And we'll start the jokes. I know, I totally peaked in that picture. But although it's 50% of your life ago, it feels like yesterday to me. And both then and now, I've had two dreams. The first one, fortunately you guys don't have Mr. McHugh, he was one of the hardest classes, but was to stay awake for a whole semester. That didn't quite happen. But the second dream was just to make this place proud. I had countless mentors and teachers and role models that truly shaped me into the person I am today. And although I couldn't quite complete that first dream, being invited to speak with you all today marks my real dream come true. So thank you for having me, number one. But I have to be honest. If you had told me back when I was in these seats that I'd be doing the things I do, leading Microsoft and being able to speak with you all today, I'd say that's about as crazy as the freshman winning color day. Wouldn't happen. And the second thing I have to be honest about is it's not because I was the best student. What Miss Blackstock fortunately didn't say was I was not. I was a very middle-of-the-road student here at Newburyport High. But I got very, very lucky. What I mean is, number one, I came from here. Geography is something completely by chance, and you all have won the lottery just by being from here. Number two was I walked into a world of massive technological change. And here's a quote from some of the leading futurists. Basically what it says is massive technology change equals massive opportunity. And third, I walked into these three principles that really helped me thrive in this digital and technology-first world. And so here's the deal. For the next 13 minutes, we're going to go over these principles. I promise you, if it's more than 13 minutes, you can whip out your phone, you can look at Snapchat, Instagram, whatever you want to do. Just stay with me for about 13 minutes, okay? But let's take a step back before those principles, back when I was a sophomore. I always assumed that there was one path. I had to get good grades. I had to get into a good school, because that's the only way to get into a good job, the classic ladder, and I knew what person I knew I'd fall off. I now know today that opportunity looks more like this. Multiple opportunities, multiple pathways. But before I sort of had this realization, it was not easy. It was not, hey, I read this in a book. I had to sort of go through a lot. And what happened was I followed that path to a T. So I got out of here, and I did. I got the good grades. I focused so hard on my academics. And I got that dream job. It was an internship at a Big Four. And everyone was so proud. I was so proud. When I went into the city, I was on the 32nd floor of one of those high rises. I was getting to wear clothes like this, except t-shirts weren't allowed, so I felt even cooler. And I was so jacked up to be this, right? I really thought this was what it was going to be like. This was dream. This was work. Turns out, it's more like this. Now, let me be very, very clear. This was and is not a bad job whatsoever. It was an extremely prestigious job. And fortunately, only 2 out of my 2,000 classmates had this opportunity. The reason that it was this was because it wasn't for me. Meaning, when you get out of here and you start working and you hit reality, you're going to spend about 80% of your working hours doing this thing called work. And for me, I knew that if I followed that original path, it'd be straight to a midlife crisis. And so, and most importantly too, the source of sort of that emotional uneasiness, I didn't see a path to make my hometown proud. And that's what really bugged me. Now, I'll be really honest, 20 years ago, that was it. That was the only game in town. And if I were to complain, that was it. All I could do was just file a complaint with myself. But today, the world that I sit is technology has completely changed the game. And what I mean by that is, for me, I could craft my own path. This is it. If there's parents in the audience, don't worry, I didn't go rogue. As you could hear, I did leverage my education. I did a lot of formal education. I sit in a full-time job right now. But as we'll talk about in the principles, I did do a lot of projects and things to amplify sort of and create my own journey. Now, what happened was I went from basically sitting in a passive state, feeling like I was just accepting, right? Accepting the path that I was supposed to go on, into really taking control of my life. And what was most important for me is it was a path to make this place proud. And so that's what we're going to cover. My hope with these 3 principles is, hey, let's not have you go through the speed bumps I went to. Let's have you totally take advantage of what I did without the bad sides of it. And let's get into these 3 principles. So the first one is really, really loving to learn. I went from avoiding learning at all costs to truly chasing what I was curious about. Now, if this is you, by the way, don't do what I did, but when I was here, I took every single intro to foreign language class, because as we know, those are the easiest. Huge waste of time. Please don't do that. Huge waste of time for you and your teachers. And so, but my life really changed when I devoured everything that I was interested in. Books, YouTube videos, literally everything you want online is free in terms of learning. And the reason that that mattered is because the speed of technology has 2 huge, massive implications. The first implication, which I know you've probably heard a lot, is what you learn today, some if not most, will be obsolete by tomorrow. So it's not you walk out of here or you walk out of university and boom, learning's done. You're going to be continuous learning throughout your life. The second is that it's completely up to you. Meaning, you used to be able to go into a company and they would take you and train you and take care of you. That's not the case anymore. Because companies genuinely don't know what to teach you, and by the time they do, it'll probably get taken over by technology. Now, I know that's scary. Like if when I was sitting there, if someone said, hey, Matt, you should go learn, right? You have to love to learn. I would just put my head in and say, that's just crazy. I don't want to do that. But guys, this actually is a massive, massive opportunity for you. And it's because opportunity used to be based off age and geography. Meaning, how many years of experience do you have? And what country club or where are you from? Today, literally all that matters is who has the relevant knowledge today and who's willing to learn it tomorrow. And so let me give you sort of how it affected me, because that's obviously what's driving this. So for me, when I really fell in love with learning, there was 2 superpowers that happened kind of as a side effect. Number 1 was I started to actually remember that foundational knowledge. I'll give you an example. There's 2 books, Crossing the Chasm and Lean Startup. I reference from those daily. I read them 4 years ago. A second example is I'm not afraid to learn. Mrs. Blackstock had a great quote when I was talking to her earlier about you're going to have to learn to learn. Well, I'm not afraid to jump into something new that I have no idea what it is. Let me give you an example. Right now, I'm debating investing in a company, and doing that requires me to understand the coding language Python. Who here knows Python? Nobody. I don't either. But before I showed up, I picked up this book. And I promise you, I didn't just take a picture off the internet. I actually have the book over there. I picked up this book because if eighth grader can learn to code, then I probably can too. So that's principle number one, is you guys have to love to learn. Principle number two is you're going to have to prioritize experiences. Me personally, I went from freaking out about AP classes to focusing on what problems did I really want to solve. And the reason that that is crucial for you is because conventional wisdom used to be, I remember when I was coming out of college and I felt like I had to have letters next to my name, right? Like MBA, JD, BA, BS. I probably made some of those up. But today, the technology, there's no courses created for them. And the reason is because, and you've probably seen this video that's going to come up, it's not just the speed of technology, the actual applications literally beckon our imagination. And now, usually if I was talking to different circles, it all turns into, oh no, rise of the robots, jobs are going to get destroyed, all that kind of stuff. It's absolutely not true. But what is true is that the jobs that you're going to walk into, make sure this changes. Perfect. They don't exist yet. What I mean by that is when I was in high school, the jobs of today certainly didn't exist. App developer, drone operator. My own job wasn't created until a year ago. And so I can't sit here and tell you what technology will be. I can tell you we just had our first robot citizen in Saudi Arabia. My roommates also works at Amazon. They just built their first robot dog. And so who knows what the applications will be. What I can tell you, though, is the new jobs created from technology are going to require problem solving. That is the number one skill for every new job. And problem solving is something that can only be learned through experience. And so this picture will be relevant in about 2 seconds. So usually the number one question I get is, Matt, what can I do? I'm a sophomore in high school. How can I possibly go solve a giant problem? Go win Color Day, right? Be the juniors that actually win Color Day. And in fact, go use technology for that. I was walking in the halls and I saw you guys had a barcode for your hall pass. That's incredible. How can you use technology to go win Color Day? A second one is the poor Merrimack River. It's not doing too well, and you all know that. Who's probably better to solve that? Me, working 80 hours a week, who doesn't remember anything from my chemistry class 10 years ago? Or you, who just took chemistry and has this crazy thing called summer vacation? That is literally like the best gift you have is just time. And so you all can take advantage of solving problems today. The third one, and this is where we're going to get a little bit crazy, is you do have to embrace the digital you. What I mean by that is I went from focusing on that paper resume, how much can you fit on one page, to embracing the digital tools at hand. What I mean by that is I digitized my proof of work, meaning a personal website, your LinkedIn, articles, a portfolio, all that kind of stuff. And the reason that is important is because we all exist in this thing called the digital cloud. Mrs. Blackstock brought up a great stat about the majority of our workforce will be freelancers, yada, yada, yada. What the human cloud is the fact that at a touch of a button, you can connect with anyone around the world. But it's not just that, right? That would be, okay, that's kind of cool. I can have a pen pal now. Instead of writing a letter, I can connect through text. What's really happening is that technology has made this world completely transparent and measured it predominantly through ratings and reviews. When you want a restaurant, you use Yelp. When you want a product, you use Amazon. When I want to work with someone, I look at their ratings and reviews. I'll be honest, I have not seen a paper resume since my time working. But, so, let that sit for a second. And this is usually when people say, okay, that, kind of a little bit crazy on the fence. Now, I can promise you when you go to college, this right here, Write My Professor, is going to be your best tool. And it's probably how you're going to get through. Is anyone familiar with Write My Professor? Have you heard about this? Exactly. This is the greatest thing ever. But when you get out in the work world, you are going to be rated and reviewed. Right? So this is not just Write My Professor. This is the world that you are walking into. Now, I know that to me, to be honest, like learning, okay, that's kind of different. Having to prioritize experiences, well, that's doable. But having to create a digital identity, I know that can kind of sound crazy and scary. So why am I so passionate about it? Well, because for me, the reason that I even work at Microsoft is because I was hired off of my ratings and reviews. What happened was one of my articles was liked by the director of Microsoft. I went and we connected and we talked for a couple months, and he said, Matt, I have an opportunity. No resume. He didn't look at my degree. All he looked at was everything that I had digitally, my website, my portfolio. I even had a sort of virtual bookshelf. And so that's the opportunity I want for you all when I say embracing your digital you. So that's the last principle. I promised you, I think we're probably at like 11, 12 minutes, so Snapchat will happen in like 2 minutes. But this is the thing. Here's the big secret that is in front of you all. This world was literally meant for you. Old people call you digital natives. But what you're going to have to remember is that opportunity today looks fundamentally different than yesterday. So you can't just sit in the electric chair and expect to go to the top. You do have to take control and create your own path. Now, back before I left, just to give you some context, so I had this huge decision to go to San Francisco and chase this tech dream. But before I left, I was sitting down with one of my mentors, who I'm going to totally embarrass. There he is right there. And I was just very blunt and honest and said, Ken, I want to be you. What do I have to do to be you? What's the secret? And he said, listen, it's pretty simple. There's only 2 things. 1, be nice to everyone. And 2, work really, really hard. And so what I want for you all to add to this, because I don't want to recreate the wheel whatsoever, but not only be nice to everyone and work really hard, but embrace these 3 principles. Now, here's the thing. Here's the final tie. I told you in the beginning that you all won the lottery. This place is going to give you the foundation to change the world. I truly, truly, truly believe that from the bottom of my heart. People here totally changed my life, which is why speaking to you all today really is my dream come true. But now, it's your turn. Embrace the world you're walking into. Do in 5 what I could do in 10. And here's the thing, I can't wait to see what you're all going to do. In fact, here's the thing, here's my only call to action. If I can help in any way, let me know. Class of 2021, a super, super cheesy line of our alma mater is onward, forward. I look forward to seeing you all blow me out of the water. Thank you for having me today.